Today we are here to study the physiology and the phases of the bacterial growth. Now, growth is a unique process which is exhibited by all the living organisms, and growth is normally referred to as the increase in cell size and cell mass. Bacterial growth is also unique in itself because there are certain parameters on which the energy production and the cellular biosynthesis depends on. The bacterial growth is dependent on the physical factors as well as the nutritional factors. The physical factors refers to the pH, the temperature, the osmotic pressure, the relative humidity of the surrounding or the media where the bacteria is going to grow. While the nutritional factor refers to the source of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, the trace elements or the minerals that are essential requirements for the bacteria to grow. And therefore, the bacterial growth is unique in itself because it undergoes an asexual mode of reproduction which is called the binary fission. If the bacteria undergoes the process of binary fission, then the question that comes to our mind is, are bacteria immortal or mortal? In order to know this, let us learn about a process which is called senescence. Senescence is a process of aging of cells. Bacterial cells do undergo the process of senescence and therefore they age. When a single bacterium, which we call the mother cell, undergoes into two daughter cells, or they divide into two daughter cells after undergoing the process of binary fission, here you can see the red color line which is the indication of the new cell wall which is being formed. So the rest of the portion is being covered by the old cell wall, while one portion is covered with the new cell wall that is being formed. This cell undergoes maturation having 50% of the new cell wall and the 50% of the old cell wall. When this cell undergoes the process of binary fission as indicated by the green line and they separate off, what we find is again two cells where this whole portion is retained like the mother cell, while this is only the new portion of the new cell wall in this cell. While in this cell here you can see this is the portion which is coming out after the second binary fission, and this is the portion which is coming out from the new binary fission that has taken place. So if I compare these two cells after they have matured, what I find is this is the cell which is having the cell wall of the initial mother that I can call as ancestor, and this is the one which is having the new cell walls. So if I take these two cells, I find that this cell undergoes a slow process of reproduction and growth, and therefore we call it a slower cell. However, this cell is called a much faster cell because it undergoes the process of reproduction and growth at a much faster rate, and therefore this cell is called faster cell. So this is the cell which is undergoing the process of senescence, and a time will come when this cell, which is the slower cell or which is marked as the slow cell, will not be able to grow and reproduce. Therefore, senescence leads to death of the cell. So the bacterial cells are not immortal. Basically, there are two different substrates on which the bacteria can grow. Either it can be a liquid media or it can be a solid media. So here you can see in this picture, this is a test tube having a liquid media, or we call it a liquid broth, where it has been seen that if this liquid media is inoculated by the bacterial cells, after some time it becomes turbid. This shows that the bacteria has grown inside the liquid media. However, this is a solid agar plate where you can see the colonies of the bacteria. The two approaches is, one is where we study a single cell. We say on the level of cell or the organism. Where a single cell or a single organism is observed, we observe or take the dimension of that single cell, whether it is growing, whether increasing in cell mass or cell volume, and we also measure the cellular activities or the metabolic activities that are going on inside one cell. So that is the study of growth in one cell. The second approach is where we study the growth on the population level. That means we are not studying the cellular activities that are taking place inside a single cell or inside a single organism. Rather, we are studying the population of cell. So this is called a population study. When we go in for the study of the bacteria or the bacterial growth, we approach the second one, that is the population study, because the bacteria are minute cells. We are not able to see the bacteria with our naked eyes, and so we cannot measure the dimensions, or we cannot keep on measuring the dimension of a cell under the microscope. So we have to look for the colonies of bacteria, and that is the population study of the bacterial growth. Now, in order to study the growth of the bacteria, we have to grow the bacteria. There are basically two different types of culture system on which the bacteria could be cultivated or grown in order to study the bacterial cells. These two types of culture system is, number one, closed or batch system. Closed or the batch system refers to the enclosed chamber where you have the medium. You inoculate the single bacterium inside that medium and let the bacteria grow inside that enclosed chamber. So when the bacteria grow, you measure the parameters of growth. So this is called the closed chamber or the batch culture of the bacterial system. The second type is called the open or the continuous system. In open or continuous system, again you have got a chamber where you have the broth or the medium is there, and this medium is getting the supply of nutrients continuously from outside. That means in open system you are connected to an outside supply of nutrients, and therefore this medium never experiences scarcity. It is already have nutrients and it will get the nutrients from the outside. So this is called a continuous system of bacterial culture. Now, in order to study the phases of the bacterial growth, now when I say phases, that means the bacteria also undergoes different stages. When a human being grows, it's an infant or it's a baby developing into a child, an adult, and then an old man, and then finally dies. The bacteria similarly has got different phases. So if we want to study the different phases of the bacteria, we grow the bacteria in a batch culture, or we called it a closed system. We are studying the population of bacteria. Therefore, this study is called the population study or the growth curve, which is a population study of the bacterial cells. There are four distinct phases of a bacterial growth curve. Okay. Now, two coordinates are taken over here. As you can see, the log number of viable cells, the cells which are living, which are measured in contrast to other coordinate, which is the time which is taking place. The first phase is called the lag phase, where we see the number of bacterial cells in the media do not increase. Now, these phases are possible only if the bacteria is grown in a batch system or in an enclosed chamber. So, if I look at the graph, this seems to be a phase which is lagging behind. But this is not truly a phase which is lagging behind. This is metabolically more active phase, because here the bacterial cell is maturing. The bacterial cell is undergoing a process when the DNA, the protein, the enzymes, everything is being synthesized inside the cell. So metabolically, it is the more active phase. In lag phase, the number of bacterial cells, though they remain same, therefore they do not increase, and the graph shows a same line of pattern. But two things are very much important in the lag phase. Number one is the nature of the media. The media, if it remains same, then the bacteria will show a shorter lag phase. That means if I take a bacteria from a soil and cultivate it in a lab which has got an artificial medium, that means the source of carbon and nitrogen differs, and therefore this will have a much longer lag phase, as the bacteria has to acclimatize with the nutrients that is present in the media. There is another thing which is very important, is the condition of the microorganism. If I take the microorganism from a very low temperature, say from a refrigerated condition, and allow it to grow in a medium which is at 37 degrees Celsius, then the bacteria will not grow immediately because they are coming from a refrigerated condition. So the nature along with the condition of the microorganism is very important or crucial, which decides the time of the lag phase. So if you look at this graph, the number of cells in this lag phase are very few. After lag phase, we have a phase, as you can see over here, where this shoots up. This shows the number of viable cell increases. This is the time when the cell undergoes rapid binary fission, because now it has matured. It has got enough DNA, enough protein, enough enzymes and all the metabolic things that are needed to duplicate or to undergo the process of replication. It has got that, and therefore the cells rapidly undergoes the process of binary fission. 2 becomes 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, like this. It keeps on dividing, and therefore this phase is called the logarithmic phase or exponential phase. Now here you can see in exponential phase, the darker color shows the dead cells and this red color shows the living cells. When I say viable cells, that means they are the living cells. The number of living cells is much more greater in the log phase in compared to the dead cells. You cannot say the dead cells are not there because you are taking a bacteria from other source. So there might be some bacteria which are not living. They might be dead. So there may be very few amount of dead cells, but they are not totally absent. So this exponential phase or logarithmic phase, or shortly referred to as the log phase, shows a balanced growth. Balanced growth means all the cellular constituents are manufactured at a constant rate. Cellular constituents means the amount of amino acids or nucleotides which are essential for the synthesis of proteins and nucleic acid. That means the rate of synthesis of these compounds remain constant, and therefore this is called the balanced growth. During this log phase, again we have synthesis of very important compounds which are referred to as the primary metabolites. That means the substances which are needed by the bacteria for their growth and development. These primary metabolites are therefore synthesized during the log phase. Now this balanced growth may be converted into an unbalanced growth. The rate of synthesis of these compounds may not be same. They may come down or they may be elevated. Both the things can happen. So this is called an unbalanced growth. This can happen due to two conditions: shift up experiment and shift down experiment. In shift up experiment, as the name goes on, you are growing a bacteria in a certain culture media which was nutritionally poor. Now you culture the bacteria in a medium which is nutritionally richer. This is called shift up experiment. Now the bacteria was not acclimatized to have so much nutrients. So when it goes to a medium which is nutritionally much richer, it takes a longer time, and therefore it remains in the lag phase for much longer time compared to the one which was getting the same media. But when I refer to the shift down experiment, that means the bacteria was growing in a nutritionally richer media and now is being shifted to a nutritionally poor media, and therefore it shows an unbalanced growth. Okay, so these are the two conditions where the bacteria may show the unbalanced growth. These two experiments, whether it's shift down or shift up experiment, it clearly shows that microbial growth is under precise, coordinated control and responds quickly to the changes in environmental conditions. So the surrounding environmental conditions that are present in the medium is very crucial for the development, for the growth of the microorganisms. The stationary phase comes after the log phase, and here you can see in this curve that the stationary phase is the one where the number of viable cells become constant. Here you can see in the stationary phase, the number of living cells, the red portion, is equal to the number of dead cells. And that is why the number of viable cell count becomes constant. That does not mean the number of dead cells are not there. They are there, but they are in the same proportion like the living cells. And therefore, you have the straight curve in the stationary phase. Now, during this stationary phase, since it's a population study, we measure the number of cells. Normally, it has been seen that when the cell are 10 to the power 9 per ml, then they reach a stationary phase of growth. Now, this stationary phase is very important for the production of the secondary metabolites. The secondary metabolites are the chemical substances which are again produced by the bacterial cells like the primary metabolites, but they are not essential for their growth and development. Rather, they are the substances which they secrete for their existence in that media, because now they know that they are going to die. They will undergo the process of senescence, and therefore they produce such compounds for their own defense mechanism, for their own survivability inside that medium. The common example of the secondary metabolites are the antibiotics, which are essential for the human population, but the bacteria produce these antibiotics in order to survive in that condition where it kills the other microorganisms. So, stationary phase, or when a cell, a bacteria enters the stationary phase, there are certain reasons to enter the stationary phase. Number one is the nutrient limitation. That means since we are growing the bacteria in a batch culture, there will be limitation of the nutrients because they are being used up by the bacterial cells, so it becomes limited. This is called the limitation of the nutrient. The second factor or the second reason is the oxygen availability. The dissolved oxygen which was there in the media is getting depleted, and therefore the strict aerobes or facultative aerobes will not grow, and therefore they start dying. And the third reason is the toxic waste products. Like any other living system, the bacterial cells also produce a toxic waste products. Now these toxic waste products accumulate, and therefore they become harmful for the bacteria, and therefore the cell undergoes a process which is called a stationary phase.
Ma'am, does that mean that the bacteria is starved and so it has entered the stationary phase?
Exactly. In one way we can say that the bacterium is undergoing the process of starvation, because what happens is the bacteria starts producing certain proteins which are called DPS, that is the DNA binding protein, which are being secreted by the starving bacterial cells only. They are normally not secreted by the bacteria. Now these protein helps in formation of a tight bonding of the peptidoglycan layer, and when this peptidoglycan layer becomes more tougher, they give the resistance to the bacteria to survive in adverse condition or in starved condition. Now during this starvation we have also certain proteins which are called chaperones, and these chaperones prevent the denaturation of the enzymes or the proteins. This is a functional protein. It has got certain orientation or a folding, and that is why it's a functional protein. Okay. Now this functional protein during starvation or during chemical or thermal condition, it may undergo a process where it becomes denatured. As you can see, the folding has opened up. So when this denatured protein is attacked by the chaperone molecules, which give a protection to this protein molecule, and the denatured protein after passing through the chaperone gets the folding, and therefore it becomes functional protein. So and chaperones get separated off. So chaperones prevent the denatured protein by again putting them into the renatured form. The fourth phase of the growth curve is your decline phase or the death phase. In the decline or the death phase, as you can see in this graph, what happens? The number of viable cells goes down. The number of viable cells do not remain same.
Ma'am, can the surviving bacterial cells use the dead bacterial cells for the nutritional purposes?
Yes, a very good question. This is being seen that there are certain bacteria who do not reach the death phase. Why? What happens in this? The curve may not come down, the curve may go up after some time. In this case, it has been seen that the living bacterial cells get hold of the components of the dead bacterium cells, and therefore they again start growing, and therefore you do not have a decline phase or a death phase. Death is defined to be the irreversible loss of ability to reproduce. So when the cells have undergone the death phase, they are not able to reproduce and therefore they are going to die. The number of dead cells increases in comparison to the number of living cells. During the death phase, we come across certain cells which are able to resist the stressful condition. That means we call it extended survival of particular resistant cells. They are the one which could resist the toxic production, which could resist the limitation of nutrient, which could resist the oxygen availability, because they can produce endospores, and therefore they can be the one which are digesting the dead cells also. So they keep on surviving and therefore they do not undergo the death phase. The bacteria undergoes the process of binary fission, that is, we call them the logarithmic type of growth. Now the time taken by the bacteria to double in number during a specified time is called its generation time. This generation time varies in different forms of bacteria or different types of bacteria. For example, if you look at the example over here, E. coli, it grows in a medium of glucose salts and takes about 17 minutes. Now this E. coli, when grows inside our stomach or in the intestine, it can grow in 24 hours. It can also grow in 12 hours, depending upon the substrate it is getting inside the intestine. So the growth or the generation time of the bacteria does not remain constant. It varies depending upon the surrounding or the environmental conditions that is being given to it.
Ma'am, do pathogenic bacteria have greater generation time?
Yes, it has been seen that many pathogenic bacteria have got longer generation time. This is because pathogenic bacteria have got certain genes which can be switched on and switched off. That means when they think that they want to cause the disease inside the host, those genes are switched on and it will start the process of reproduction, it will grow. At that time, the generation time will be much shorter. But when the bacteria wants to survive inside the host for a much longer time, it will not divide. So at that time, the virulence gene are switched off. Now we have studied this bacterial growth curve in a batch system or in the enclosed system. Let us study the growth of bacteria in a continuous system. Continuous system can have two types. One is called the chemostat and the other one is called the turbidostat. In chemostat, as you can see over here, there is a vessel where the bacterial growth is taking place. And this vessel is connected to the one from where the new supply of nutrient is coming. This new supply of nutrient which is coming has got a certain flow rate, and that flow rate should be same with the one where the nutrients are going out of the media. So this is called a continuous system. In the case of turbidostat, there is a photocell which detects the optical density of the media. I told you when a bacteria grows inside a liquid broth, it changes the optical density because it becomes turbid or denser, and therefore if the photocell could measure the density of the media or it gives it in terms of optical density, then the number of bacterial cells could be retained as same. This is the function of the turbidostat which measures the turbidity. In addition to it, we have the flow of nutrients which is coming in and the effluent which is going out of the system.
Ma'am, what is the major difference between a chemostat and a turbidostat? Like we have seen that the dilution factor is kept constant for a chemostat. So what is done in the case of a turbidostat?
In the case of chemostat, the concentration of a nutrient is being maintained. Whereas in the case of turbidostat, the concentration of nutrient is not maintained. Rather, the optical density is measured with the help of the photocell. Continuous culture is needed when we want to have the constant supply of the bacterial cell. Now why do we want the bacterial cell? We can go in for the study, the microbial study, the various metabolic processes, the replication of the DNA that is taking place. So in order to get the numerous cells at the same strata, we can have the continuous culture, or they may be for the extraction of the primary metabolites which are produced in the log phase. So if you keep the cells continuously in a log phase, by the supply of the nutrient, we are able to extract out the primary metabolites of the bacteria. Synchronous growth refers to the growth of bacteria where we are able to know the stage of the bacterial cells. That means, are they all in the log phase or are they all in the stationary phase? Now in the synchronous culture, this is again a type of continuous culture only. What do we do? When we add the media, suppose this is a bacteria which was showing a lag phase, it has gone to the log phase. Now after the supply of nutrient gets depleted, it again goes to the lag phase. This is not the stationary phase, this is again a lag phase, and when the nutrients are added, it again rises to the log phase. So here you can see the log phase can go on and on. They do not enter the stationary phase or the death phase. As a result, what happens? A synchrony of the cells is there. All the cells in this media are in the log phase, and therefore they all produce the primary metabolites. Now this is very essential, because when we want to extract the primary metabolites, all cells should be in the log phase. Otherwise, you will not be able to isolate the primary metabolites. Okay. Now synchronous cultures rapidly lose the synchrony, because as we go in for the practical purpose, you will see that it is not feasible to maintain all the cells in the same phase. So feasibly or practically, the synchrony could not be maintained for a much longer time. All these things show that bacterial growth cannot be studied in a single cell. Rather, we study the growth of the bacteria when we study the population of cells, and therefore this is called the population study, because a single bacterium could not be seen with our naked eyes, and we have to see the bacteria under the microscope. And therefore this shows that the bacterial growth is very precise, very coordinated, and depends upon the various environmental factors to which it is exposed to.